Hey YouTube, Will here from All Electric, back again with another video. And in this video, this is test number 4 of the Curvy Country Road Test. And if you haven't seen my other tests, number 1, 2, and 3, go check those out on my channel right now. But I'm going to be linking back to test number 3 in this particular video just to compare the different software updates. And if you haven't been keeping up with the channel, right now we're running 2019.20.4.2. Also, in my last video, I posted the new camera rig that I have, and I gotta say, I'm not 100% sold on it, even though I took the time to do a video on it. While I'm editing this footage, it's kind of bugging me that the rear view mirror is right in the way of everything that I want to see in this video. So let me know what you think of this new camera rig versus the old camera rig that you see here down in the comment section below. So this first part of the test is pretty easy for the Autopilot, and I'm going to be jumping back and forth between this test, test number 4, and test number 3. And this slow right-hand curve is very easy, and it's been successful in all the tests so far. So here is test number 3, and that was 2019.16.2. And we got about the same performance. It stayed in the center of the lane, no issues. So here's another turn, and in the last test, we had a wonderful Prius driver turn out in front of us. So I had to slam on the brakes. So our test is a little bit skewed, but again, a very easy turn for the Autopilot. Now we get to the point where there's typically traffic on this road. And if you haven't heard me talk about it before, Autopilot is wonderful in traffic. So again, we get about the same amount of performance in this particular software update. This is kind of interesting here. It's almost like the Autopilot is merging. Now I don't think it is. I think it's keeping the distance between the red van in front of us and the Cadillac over here, the black car, just happened to pull forward, and the Autopilot just kind of fit right in, and then it realizes that that car is cutting in and hits the brakes. But kind of smooth, especially if you look at the previous test. I mean, there was no cars there, but it just kind of rolls right behind this white truck. And it makes me start to wonder, when full self-driving is released, is this something like this type of really easy merge? Is this something that Tesla's thought about? How much data do they have on an intersection like this where I'm supposed to yield to oncoming traffic on this main road? Now in this, you can see Autopilot is just following the truck and not paying any attention to a vehicle oncoming. And so we're passing through the small little town here, and it does great in the slower type of traffic. The only thing it's not doing here is the stop sign, which I will manually take over and make a complete stop and then go through the stop sign. I cut this part of the video out so I don't get some nasty comments saying, you didn't go to 0 miles per hour or something crazy like that. So we're through the town, I engage Autopilot again, and we have our first pretty good curve. And it does a great job. So let's look at the last test here. So we have the same curve, and it does, I think, about the same. So now let's go on to the next curve on this road. And my apologies for this camera setup. As you can see, it kind of whited out the screen there. Versus the old test, test number 3, you can see I bump up the speed there, and we're going around the curve, and it does about a good job. So here's a more severe curve with a slight incline after it. And it does really good. It was super smooth, and I definitely noticed that curve was a little bit more smooth than previous tests. So let's look at the old test here, and you can see it's kind of on that left-hand side, and it goes up the hill no problem. So as we get to a straightaway, this is test number 4 again. You can tell by the rearview mirror right in the middle of the screen, and you can tell by my voice I'm annoyed by the rearview mirror. Even though I pushed it up as far as it could go, I actually looked into popping it off just before I took this video, but there was no way to get that rearview mirror off of the car without destroying it, and obviously I don't want to do that to my brand new car. So we're coming up on a really, really aggressive curve here that the Autopilot has failed in multiple tests before. So we're going to take a couple looks at this here, and this curve is going to curve to the right after a T intersection with oncoming traffic, and it barely does it, and you can see somebody in the passenger seat pretty frantic. So let's take a look at that at slow-mo, and we are going, you as a driver know that it's going to curve to the right, but it's heading towards that dirt mound, and it does do it even though it goes a little bit over the white line there, but it's still in drivable space on the road. I didn't go off the road. Here is the previous test, and you can see it does a little bit better job in that previous test. Now this is only one example, and obviously if I was going to do a true test sample, I would do multiple tests at the same time, or of the same version, and then compare those. So this is a slow bend, a tight bend though, to the right, and it does a really good job. So let's look at the previous test. And you can see that the previous test does a good job also of navigating the curve, even with oncoming traffic. Now it still gets a little bit close to that double yellow line, but as a driver, I mean, you know, it's kind of limited because of the space on this tight road. So that curve was about the same, and now we have a kind of up and down curve here. That was the current test number 4. Let's look at test number 3 here. And we see that I had to put a little bit more pressure on the wheel going left. So now we have a tight right turn with oncoming car, and you can see right after that car passed, we actually went into the left lane a little bit, versus test number 3 where it was a lot tighter on the right hand side of the road. So here I actually took it out of Autopilot, which didn't happen on test number 3. And those of you that have watched my other videos know that I keep full tension on the steering wheel. So if the Autopilot's going to do something that I'm not expecting, it's going to disengage Autopilot. If you guys haven't done so yet, click that link down below and head over to Patreon and support this channel for as little as $1 a month. And right now through July 5th, you can actually get a top tier benefit for $1. And that's a personal shout out to you on my next YouTube video. And right now I want to give a shout out to our man Amin, who's supporting me at the all electric tier. That's my highest tier that I have. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you to all my other patrons over on Patreon supporting the channel. Thank you. I cannot say thank you enough. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend, and I will see you guys in the next one.